Hey hunting family, welcome back to Tracks and Tackle, where nature is our playground. I'm your host, Ron Menser, the Arrow Eagle, and today we've got an exciting episode lined up for you. We're diving into an incredible Ohio deer hunting story that involves not just traditional hunting skills, but also modern technology in an unexpected way. When our guest, Jason Johnson, needed help tracking his buck, he called in the drones. And trust me, you're going to want to hear how this one plays out. Hey there, hunting family. It's time to give a shout out to a company that's been keeping our communities moving since 1995. I'm talking about Interstate Garage Doors. For nearly 3 decades, Interstate Garage Doors has been the go-to choice for comprehensive garage door services in South Central PA, as well as the surrounding Hagerstown, Maryland, and Martinsburg, West Virginia areas. And get this, they're not just any company. They're veteran-owned and family-operated, with a proud history of serving both residential and commercial clients. Their professional technicians are the real deal, offering top-notch installations from industry-leading manufacturers and expert repairs for all garage door makes and models. From residential garage doors to overhead doors and openers, Interstate Garage Doors does it all. So whether you're a hardworking contractor building homes or a homeowner looking for service or just needing an upgrade, you can trust Interstate Garage Doors to get the job done right. And hey, they're not just experts in garage doors, they're also experts in giving back to the community, sponsoring podcasts like Tracks and Tackle. Are you ready to experience the Interstate difference for yourself? If so, here's a little something extra for our loyal podcast listeners. Use promo code Tracks and Tackle when you contact Interstate so they know you heard about them here. Just visit igdoors.com today to get an estimate or request service, or give them a call at 717-263-3150. Don't wait. Take the first step towards a smoother, more secure garage today. Hey, hunting family. Welcome back to Tracks and Tackle. We got a good one for you today. We have Matt Menser in the house with us. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good this morning, Ron. How about yourself?
I'm living the dream, man. Living the dream. Got a great guest here coming on with us. Jason Johnson. Is that right, Jason?
Sure.
All right,
Yeah.
Jason Johnson. Jason's a friend of Buck's here, and he's come on the show. So I actually just met Jason, but Jason was part of a hunt that Matt and he went on earlier in this year, in archery season. They went on an archery hunt in Ohio, and Buck came back with a lot of footage of the hunt. We threw together a video on our YouTube page because there was a drone deer recovery involved in one of the deer, specifically one of the deer that you shot, Jason. And so got a little bit of attention on that video. Super cool topic. I've done some Ohio hunting myself. And so thankful that you wanted to come on the show and sit here and we can relive that. We can talk through it. And you just recently went back out to Ohio for a repeat trip. So I'm just going to turn it over to you for a second. Why don't you just introduce to the audience who you are, how you know Matt, and how you guys got out into Ohio together? Because I know it was a work-related detail, and you can promote your business.
Yeah. So my name's Jason Johnson. I work for Driller Service. It's a supplier for the water well industry and septic. That's how me and Matt kind of hooked up. Actually, first time I met Matt, it was along the streets in Shippensburg.
All right. The streets.
Yeah. So I'm a sales rep. So every time I would pull into his office there, they have a big sign up that says, no sales allowed. Keep out this big.
Don't
gate.
solicit us.
So yeah, it's kind of scary. So, but one day, just driving down the road, and bam, there he was working on the road. I thought, you're out of the gate now, buddy.
That's right. Be outside the castle walls.
I was outside the gate. I was outside the fenced community. So we got together, gave the opportunity to sell some parts, and I guess it was good we were outside the gate that day.
Yeah. So we've been working together now for 3 years. Probably.
I would say three solid years.
Yeah.
It's been at least 3 at this point.
So, our relationship was built off of business relationship.
Yeah, sure.
But
you find common interests, though.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And unfortunately, sometimes that cuts into business, because now all of a sudden, instead of talking about what we should be talking about, we're talking about hunting or.
Well, some things pull rank,
Yeah.
and that's how you got on the show. You're an outdoors guy,
Now when Jason comes in the office, though, everyone is talking to hunting. We've all got relationships now. And
love it.
You don't come in the office and just talk about 2 or 3 pipe fittings or
Right.
this pump that
What
we
do you
need
want
to
to
get
buy,
and
or-
what we're buying. It's, hey, did you kill anything this week? How's season been going? Just
Yep.
I've had
That's it.
times I've left his office and I was like, darn, I forgot to ask him about
Yeah.
I said I didn't get accomplished what I set out to
or a
accomplish.
phone call.
Yeah.
Hey, what did we decide to do with that?
Awesome. So, how did you guys? Let's go to Ohio.
Mhm.
Like I said, you were out there together, and I think that was like a work related hunt.
It was. So DSI is very big on trying to do stuff for their customers. Normally it's golf related or something like that.
I get it.
I'm from PA. We're not big golfers here. So I've been pushing for the past couple of years. I'm like, hey, can you let me try something?
Yeah.
And finally I got the approval for it. It's better to ask for forgiveness than permission is what I've always been told. So we got a good group of guys.
Yeah.
There was 5 or 6 of us that went total.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. So we got an Airbnb out there. Kind of DSI kind of hosted the whole thing,
Nice.
and everybody had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least I did.
So your company was the one that hosted the
whole trip.
hey guys, come out and do, because I've done this in a past life too, where you got that one vendor.
Yep.
That I've done the golf outings, and they're fun too.
So what was nice, like we're owned by Franklin Electric, which I'm sure you've heard of Franklin. They kind of do a little bit of everything.
Sure.
Even the gas hoses at Sheets. If you look, Franklin Electric has their own gas hoses, which I didn't know that.
I didn't know
I seen
that.
it the other day. But I got a bunch of my vendors all pitched in, $300, $500, and
Sponsor it.
we just kind
Sponsor the
of
hunt.
ended up, and we were able to pay it all, and
It's
it
very
worked out
cool.
good.
Yeah, had a great time doing it too. Got to meet some of Jason's other customers, and we all hit it off, we were all around a common theme. It was the outdoors,
Mm-hmm.
so it worked out very good. The Airbnb was, Airbnb full of guys. You don't know what you're up against, but it turned out to be,
Okay.
just about perfect.
You know how hunting camp is. We got a contingent of the people that in our audience that are like, they love that hunting camp, that nostalgic, the thoughts of, gathering around the campfire and hanging out and telling stories. And
Yeah.
it's as much about the time of camp as it is, going out and doing, because, frankly, when I go hunting, deer hunting anyway, I'm up in my tree or I'm out in my stand and I'm by myself. It's me and my thoughts. Right. But at camp, it's the guys and the gals, whoever's there, and that's where a lot of the memories are made. It's not the time with me and my thoughts, So I get it. I totally get it. A lot of fun doing that sort of stuff. So it was successful.
We were lucky because I think the industry will work into 98% of everybody's really good people.
Right.
And that helps a lot.
Yeah, but blue collar workers, hard working guys and gals, and so you do it again.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's already in the making.
Love it. Yeah, turn it into an annual trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it.
I'm hoping to go bigger now because it was a success. Everybody had a good time. We were 50% kill rate.
Yeah, we brought him $3.
$3.
Other guys had opportunity, and there was other opportunities that just were passed up on, or
Sure.
Didn't work out.
So
Awesome.
The other Dewey, the other guy was with us. He killed a 140-inch 9-point.
Yeah.
Just a giant 9, biggest 9-point I've ever seen.
You can't buy an experience like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's cool. And he'll take that memory.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
He'll take that with him.
And the story that he had to tell back at camp.
Sure.
The story that went with that deer, it was.
And the really cool thing is our guy that we were hunting on, he had trail cameras set up to this gentleman's hunting this muddy blind.
Yep.
And the trail camera's pointing right toward the blind. So he's actually got a picture of when he aired the deer. The deer is down but trying to get back up. So he's got an actual cell cam picture of this. And then the next picture was Dewey walking up to the deer and the buck's laying dead in front of the camera.
It's awesome.
So, I mean, it was really cool.
Just checking trail camera footage last night, and I've got the one camera the Hollywood Horse has got. My nephew, he's got a camera set up on a trail that on the first day we took like 4 doe on the first day, and it's dark, it's night, and there's a whole story to go with it. But he's got footage of us, one guy dragging a deer, another guy dragging a deer, the next guy, 2 guys carrying out. And I was played out. I knew the story behind it, but it was awesome footage.
Yeah.
So to capture
That's
something
cool
like
when you get
that.
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so cool. Tell me about when did this hunt take place, and what made you choose Ohio? I mean, have you done Ohio hunts before, Jason?
So I have. I hunted in Ohio 2 years ago, late season. Out for late season archery, and then I went out for late season muzzleloader. Unsuccessful completely. I think we've seen 3 deer out of 2 trips.
Okay.
So it was really bad. But you hear the stories, you see the pictures, the deer are there. It's just getting on them.
Mm-hmm.
So this recent trip, we a lot of guys when they go to Ohio, they're like, "Oh, we're going out in November."
Right.
Everybody wants to hunt that rut. But we got to thinking, well, why not be their opening day of archery in September, and let's hunt food patterns
Sure.
instead of crazy deer running all over the place. Let's try to see if we can pattern deer.
Mm-hmm.
And it was tough for me at least because we get to camp and. Like the one guy's with us, he's a big hunter, kills a lot of big bucks. He's like, I'm not hunting any mornings. And for me from PA, I'm like, what do you mean you're not hunting mornings? Like we're in Ohio.
You're missing daylight.
He's like, I'm telling you, he's like, don't hunt mornings. Stay out of the area. Like don't hunt mornings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all struggled with that a little bit.
At first, yeah. Yeah, at first.
But it worked.
I
think it worked.
I don't know that I'm buying into this Coben, and then Coben's sharing the pictures of the deer he kills, and they're like, all right. I'll
He
try
might know what he's
Coben's
talking
method.
about,
We'll give his method a try.
give his method a try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a little. I mean, and the guys were. I think all of us struggled. Everybody,
100%. Yeah.
we're like finding something to do because here you are. You're thinking you're going to just hunt, and now we got Coben saying, "Hey, we probably shouldn't hunt the whole time." And
So now you got downtime at camp.
so now we have downtime at camp. So it was actually fun. A couple of us, different guys. We went and we had. Was it 5 different farms, Jason?
Oh yeah.
Jason had got his farms that we kind of were subleased through an outfitter. Each of us kind of had their own farm. So some of the guys were kind of scouting other areas of the farm or field glassing a farm. I know myself, one day I drove over, I found just on the hunting apps, I found out we were right next to thousands of acres of public land. So I took a drive and a little walk and actually seen deer. That was the first deer I seen in Ohio.
Was that on public land?
on
Public land.
Right on.
The morning because I wasn't going into this farm that we had to hunt and messing it up.
Yeah.
So it was different, but it gave us the opportunity, which got the wheels turning for which we'll talk about later
Mhm.
for the return.
Yeah.
Return to Ohio. But that way of hunting. Hey, we're only hunting afternoons. It was a little different than what we're used to in Pennsylvania. Hey, get in the woods before the sun comes up and stay as long as you can. Take a short lunch break and be back.
Yeah.
For the afternoon. So
There's tactics and strategies, that we've all been taught. And it's usually through trial and error.
Yep.
Over time, you find out what works. And hunting one area might be a little bit different than hunting another area. But through trial and error, you figure out what works. And once it works for you, then you go back to it.
Right.
Right. So.
yeah, and I can't say that Coben was wrong because
No.
we all had the opportunity that way.
Yeah.
And
Now, was this your first trip to Ohio too?
yeah, this was my first.
Okay.
This is my first trip to Ohio. I've hunted in North Carolina, but other than that was my first time. Only other time I've been out of state hunting.
Right.
Most all my hunting.
And you had success too on this trip.
Yes, last day.
So you took a buck with the bow too.
Yeah.
So I remember, we were getting amped up for archery season, like normal guys like us do.
In September, and you get a text.
And, I'm waiting. I know that I remember stopping over at Matt's house the day before, 1 or 2 days before, he's going to take off, and he's packing everything, making sure he's got, stuff together. And I'm like, all right, man, well, send me pictures, send me video. I'm a content guy, so give me the content and we'll put it together. And you did. You came back, got me an SD card with a ton of commentary and pictures and and your hunt was on there. So what turned out is, Matt, send me pictures of your hunt. What really turned into a video of Jason, getting this awesome Ohio whitetail. Yeah.
It was great. Me and Matt both waited to the last day for some reason.
It's just the way it goes sometimes,
I did. That was the first real good opportunity I had, was the last day. I mean, I had some encounters, but they weren't encounters I could kill in archery.
Yeah.
If we were hunting rifle, which is always
it's fun watching the deer though.
Yeah, it's fun watching the deer. But I killed my deer, and I'm dragging my deer to the truck, and I get a text from Jason that, hey, I got one down, but it's not down. And so there was, as I'm getting my deer out, and I was actually on a farm with one of the other guys, Clint, that evening, who had shot at a deer. We weren't able to locate a deer, find it. So, that
was one that got away.
The story that got away, anyway, it was a doe. It was a doe.
Okay.
But it was kind of last day, last light thing. So
Yeah.
Clint and I have this dialogue going while I'm dragging my deer to the truck. And then Jason adds into the
chaos.
That he's got a deer down.
While we're at it, we got another one down.
So, there's all this going on, and I get my deer to the truck, and I'm like, well, I can't load this horse, So I go help Clint get his stuff out. Can't find nothing. So we come back, Clint and I load, and at that point, then we're talking to Jason while we're in the truck and find out, well, Jason's calling a drone in because not much time, but he knows the deer's hit, he knows it's a confident.
Yeah.
No good blood trail and stuff. So he's got a.
That'll mess with your head.
Oh, it was so bad, man.
He's got a drone order, and I'm like, Clint and I are like, well, we got to get back to the Airbnb. We got to get this thing up to.
Because it's 70.
Because it's 70 degrees outside.
I know, it's still October, right?
It was the very beginning of October, the end of September. I don't even remember the date exactly at that point, but it wasn't 20 degrees outside like it is here this morning in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So we're like, well, we got to get this thing back and get it quartered and taken in the cooler. So as Clint and I roll in, we're trying to get my deer taken care of. Jason comes back and, hey, I got a drone guy coming. We're going to try and use drone to find us, but he can't come till what was it, like 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay.
It's what, 6?
It's like 6, 7 o'clock. It was just starting to get dark, so it was probably 7, maybe 7 o'clock, 7, 8 o'clock.
So this is the story. This is like, we all love a good hunting story, right?
Yeah. But the best part, add to all the excitement that's already going on, we got a buck on the pole. We got a buck down somewhere.
Yep.
So Jason's like, oh, yeah, he can't come till 1 o'clock. All right, well, his farm's about an hour away. So we're like, okay, no problem. So we're all there. I'm skinning this deer out, quartering it and stuff.
And we were supposed to leave that night.
Yeah.
It gave you time to take care of that deer.
Well, that's where the plot kind of thickens is midway through the quartering, the drone guy calls and says, hey, my other stop's canceled or found someone else. I'm ready to be there
Is
now.
he going to move it up?
So, as I'm throwing this quarters in the cooler and throwing ice to it and warts and knives, run right back out the door and jump in the back of Jason's truck to cruise up to his farm to meet the drone guy that night.
And you were supposed to leave that night, but I know from the video you didn't.
Correct, yeah.
So walk me through it. Yeah.
We were supposed to check out from the Airbnb that evening. Well, I know we were supposed to be out at 11 a.m.
And the night before we talked about it.
Yeah. And luckily, the guy that I Airbnb'd through, I got a hold of him and I said, hey, do you think we can get an extra night? And he's like, absolutely. He said,
All right, so that made it nice.
Yeah, so we were able to pay for that. We got our extra night. But yeah, that evening was mass chaos. It was just from the get-go because now we're all texting back from the mass like, hey, I hit one. I'm like, oh, I just hit one too.
That's what you want. That's what you
Yeah.
want on a hunt.
Yeah.
Right,
you
luckily
know?
mine went 40 yards and was stone dead.
Mine went 450 yards and was stone dead 14 hours later.
14 hours later,
Yeah.
you know.
So tell me the story. You're going to break this down for me, Jason.
Mhm.
The buck skinning his deer. Figure you got a couple of hours. You guys are all at camp. You get the call from the drone operator. And he's
Elite
like,
drone recovery.
Elite Drone Recovery,
Yeah.
and they're we did tag them and put
Yep.
their website and stuff, in the video. We can do that again on this, so to, give him some business if you want to check them out. He's got a pretty cool YouTube channel too, because he documented everything.
Yep, absolutely.
So he calls you from Elite Drone Recovery, and you guys are okay. We're dropping everything. We're gonna go check this thing. You had a good hit.
Not a good hit.
Well,
I thought I did.
let's back up. Let's back up because we all love the good hunting story.
Yeah.
So let's put a pin in the drone recovery piece. Take me back. It's the last day of your hunt. You're hunting archery. You're in Ohio. There's good buck in Ohio. We've seen the pictures. We've heard the stories. But from your vantage, talk us through that hunt.
So it was kind of weird. So me and my son, I had my son with me. So me and my son were hunting a separate farm, and we hunted that farm for 3 days. And I think total we seen 4 deer.
All right.
No horns, just all those. And I just so happened to talk to Brad at Ohio River Whitetail Ventures, and I'm like, hey, wasn't there a 6 farm? And he was like, well, there was. He said, but I didn't think you guys would need it. He's like, but if you want to hunt it, here's the address.
Okay.
So me and my son, we jump in the truck, boogie over there. This is in the morning, just to kind of look at it. Well, we pull in, cut bean fields. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I'm like, okay, this is what we needed.
Holding this one back on us.
Yeah. So just so happens when we pull into this location, the owner of the property is mowing along the road. So I get to talk to this farmer.
That's nice because then you get some insight.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So he's like, well, listen, he said, I got 2 pre-hung stands. He said, I got one on this side of the road and I got one on this side of the road. He was like, I've seen a big 12 point over here. So me being dad, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to put my son in that stand.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's like, Brad, he had no cameras on this farm. He had no idea what deer was on this farm.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this could be cool. So the ladder stand that I was in, it was a really nice spot. Like there was a pond off to my right. And then there was like this trail that come into the stand, but you could see the deer just beating on it like a racetrack.
Highway.
Yeah. So I figured I'm at least going to see deer. So we get in there at 5 o'clock. Me and my boys texting back and forth. Didn't see anything. My son texted me at like 6 p.m. He's like, well, we got 1 hour. He was like, it's that magic hour.
If it's going to happen.
If it's going to happen, now
Yeah,
it.
I hear that.
So I'm like, okay, sweet. Told him, hey, good luck, blah, blah, blah. Laid my phone down. As soon as I laid my phone down, I heard a twig break. I was like, PA, squirrel. But I look over my left shoulder, and here comes this buck out of this thicket. Nice 8 point, pretty good sized deer. I'm from PA. It was a good sized buck. So I was like, shit, I'm going to kill a deer here on the last day. So,
Right.
I picked out my shooting lane. I'm sitting there. I got my crossbow up on the rail, and I'm like, and I'm a crossbow hunter, so go ahead and flame me. I guess.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
That's a whole other.
It's a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's the next episode.
So, I'm sitting there and waiting. This buck's perfect, 25 yards, just coming right out in front of me. And I'm like, this is going to happen. And I just happened to catch movement out of my corner of my eye again. And this other deer comes out of the thicket. Well, this is a 10 point.
Yep.
So I'm like, wait a minute. What is happening right now? Like, this doesn't happen. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to shoot the 10 point because it was a bigger buck. So I'm sitting there. Now I'm waiting for the 10 point to come in through the shooting lane. I'm watching him, and the 8 point literally standing here looking at me now. He's pegged me in the tree.
Right.
So my heart is out of my chest, just thump, thump, thump. And the thoughts through my head was, these deer are going to hear my heart beating.
Yeah, it's up in my throat by now.
So I'm like, I'm going to blow this. Like, this isn't even going to happen. So that all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, grace of God, but the farmer across the field, probably 600-700 yards away, dropped a large piece of something, and it made this big crash. I mean, boom! It almost like
Took their attention.
The little 8 point, all of a sudden, just boom! He focuses on that noise. Well, he starts walking to the edge of the field, and I'm like, holy crap! So now the 10 points come in the shooting lane, catch more movement. Here comes the buck I shot. He comes.
So there's a
down.
third buck.
There's a third buck.
The stars were aligning.
Yeah. Like,
I got
who
a
does
story
this?
to
We have an
follow
8,
this up,
a
yeah.
10, and now this funky rack comes out, and I can see it's funky. Like, I seen, like, his G2s, the one G2 on this side was, like, hooked. And I'm like, okay,
That's cool.
That's character rack. You know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's the one I want. So waiting. Now the 8 point has circled, went over to the edge of the field. Now has come in on the trail that I come in on, and is standing at the base of my ladder stand looking at me. Right out.
It's
right
got
up
to
my
make you
ladder.
comfortable.
No.
Right?
Horrible. I'm freaking out. Like, I'm literally freaking out. And I think that's kind of what happened with the shot.
Sure.
Was most of you guys, when we hunt or whatever, or archery hunting, you want to hit them with that man. And then you do that stop, and you release. I didn't man. As soon as he stepped into the lane, I let her rip, and I hit behind the ribs. Emotions, just.
Look, it happens to all of us, right? Yeah.
Like, this is the biggest buck I've ever shot at.
I can only imagine like what's rolling through your mind in that moment too. You're like, I just had this opportunity.
And at this point, I'm trying to just stay in the tree stand because I'm shaking so bad. I'm literally thinking I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I know it kind of sounds weird, but I'm sure we've all been there. I mean, you shoot that deer, and I feel if you lose that, that's probably it for you. Probably just.
Yeah, you might as well hang it up if you're losing that type of excitement. Yeah. I mean, look, this is a follow-up question, and we'll come back to the story. Sure. But like, actually, I started to write down my thoughts. Would you prefer the early detect on, hey, I see that buck coming. Oh, there's a second one. Oh, there's a third one. You watch them come in. It gives you time for your legs to rattle. And like, I can picture, I'll speak from experience. I've had those episodes where I'm seeing them come in from 70 yards out.
I guess.
And
just real quick, that wasn't the case. So where I was setting, I had a thicket behind me, was roughly 30 yards. So I was seeing legs of deer. And then
there's movement, right?
Yeah, and then they would just pop out. Now they're at 30 yards.
So that's my question. Would you prefer to have one jump out from behind a bush and kind of surprise, like, oh, there they are, it's go time? Or, and for you as well, Matt, like, would you prefer to see early detect and watch them come in? Because I know I've had those episodes, like, even if it's not a big buck, you're sitting there, you're watching it, all of a sudden your legs start to shake. Like, I can imagine myself, this has happened where like my knees are rattling so bad that I'm like leaning against the stand to try to support myself. I calm down, and then the next wave comes upon you. You know what I mean? And if you're an archery hunter or a deer hunter at all, you've had that experience, you know what I'm talking about. What would you prefer? Because I like both. So personally,
me personally, I think the surprise, like when you have to like think and go now, you don't have that rush of emotion, adrenaline, shaking. You get the job done. Then the buck fever comes over you. Right. Now you're holding on for dear life, trying not to. Right. So, but in this instance, I kind of had it before and during. It was horrible. It was 15 minutes of my life. It was the craziest experience I've ever had deer hunting. Honestly,
that's awesome though. Yeah, I would say like sometimes whenever they just like step out from behind a tree, you think it's the squirrel, and you turn around and it's not. You don't have time to psych yourself out or overthink it or anything like that, So that's real cool. So the other thing I was thinking about a short story, I've gone down, done some out of state hunting in my life, and first time I ever went on a paid hunt, I was in South Carolina. Okay. And it was early. It was like an August or September hunt. They were still in velvet, and this is what the outfitter told us: like, first deer that comes out and approaches that food pile, let it go. Yeah. We're Pennsylvania hunters, a nice rack buck. He's like, let it go, because there's going to be a bigger one come out. And that's what I'm thinking of when you're talking about. Well, the first one looked good, then the next one came out. It was man. My mouth started to water. Yeah. And then the third one had character. So, all right. So you make the shot, you hit a little bit far behind, And
Which I didn't know that at first.
okay,
Once when I took the shot, I felt pretty good about it.
okay, yeah,
It was kind of weird because, after you shoot, then you just have this eruption in the woods.
we say that the fog of war is very real.
Yeah.
And so it's like, where was that deer? Like trying to place the memories of exactly how it happened.
So
Gotta
I
be
actually watched the
intentional.
deer I shot. I watched him. He probably ran him 30, 40 yards and he stopped. Like he stopped at the edge of the field and he thought about going across the field.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, which I thought he tipped over,
Okay.
which he didn't. What he did was jump over this large brush pile, which sounded like he crashed.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going into freak out mode now because I think this buck's down at 40.
We've got the text message.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'm texting,
You
he's
got the
got a
receipts.
Big
Got the
buck down,
receipts.
man. Like he's down. Like I'm looking through my binders and I'm like, I think I see his belly.
Yeah.
Like I texted my son. I'm like, yeah, he's down. I see his belly. And then he's like, oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. So I get down.
Those texts are the best.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like a hero. I'm like, man, this is great. So I go over, I get my arrow. As soon as I pick my arrow up, I'm like looking at it. I'm like, oh, that ain't good. So I seen it had, some streaky, little bit green stuff on it.
Oh yeah.
But it had
Dark.
some blood on it too. And I'm like, okay, maybe liver,
Yep.
somewhere in there. So I'm like, all right. So I walk over to where I thought I seen the deer crash.
Mm-hmm.
I find this large tree. I don't even know what kind of tree it is because I'm not familiar with Ohio. Ohio's got different.
Yeah,
Trees
I
and-
wasn't even in there to that point.
Yeah.
So
It was a whitish colored tree that had fallen down along the edge of the woods. And that's what I thought was the deer's belly.
Okay, so so white bark and
Yeah. So now I get to this tree and I'm like, oh, that's not my buck. So
emotion shift.
Yeah. So I called Brad and I'm like, listen, I just hit one. I thought he went down, but now he's not here. Like, do you want me to start trying to track? Like, because at this point, like, I have one drop of blood.
Yeah.
Now I knew I have a bad hit.
Yeah.
He's like, I wouldn't push it. He's like, give it 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point now the deflation comes.
Right.
So I'm talking to everybody at camp and, what should we do? And we knew at that point we were going to stay out. And then Brad's like, hey, we're in Ohio. Like we have
Different resources out there. Yeah.
Like, you can call one of these drone, and I've never done this before. And I'm like, that's weird. So I call my wife. I'm like, listen, I hit the biggest buck I've ever shot in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to invest whatever I have to get this buck.
Yeah.
Because I owe it to him at this point.
I agree with that. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. It's a financial decision, but also, I've
was
hit
ready
deer.
to do whatever I had to do.
We've all hit deer that have
Yep.
gotten away.
Yep.
And I think that's part of it, especially when you're an archer.
Yep.
It's harder, as far as the chess game goes, but as long as you're doing everything that you can to
Yep.
prepare yourself to be lethal, you're doing everything you can to, like you said, you owe it to the animal
Yep.
to try to get them.
So-
Love that.
Being from PA, unfortunately, we don't have that opportunity because at this point, drone recovery is illegal in Pennsylvania, which they're trying to pass a bill, I think, right now to get it legalized in PA, which
Yep.
I supported 100%. I think there'd be so many more deer found.
I agree, and I'd like to get a drone expert, and somebody, an advocate,
Yep.
onto the show.
Yep.
So eventually that'll happen.
Yeah.
But I'm with you because, I see it from both sides.
Right.
Like, I can look at it objectively, and I know that there's the downsides too. People misusing the technology to aid the hunt or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. I think so many deer that are lost wouldn't be lost if we had the tools
Yep.
to do it.
Go in and find them. And so, me personally, and I think we all agree, if it wasn't for that drone recovery, we would have never found
No
that
way.
deer. We would have never found that buck. He went 450 yards through the thickest, gnarliest stuff you could find in Ohio and died right in the middle of it.
That's the impression I got. Was he got into some thick stuff?
I mean,
It
this
was,
stuff
it was
is
a clear
7 foot
cut.
tall.
It was a clear cut. And when I say clear cut, we're in Ohio where we're down in southwestern Ohio
Mhm.
where it's flat. And the woodlots are small woodlots. And when I say clear cut, I'm talking clear cut in every sense of the word. The trees are all gone.
Yeah.
You know, if they would have took the stumps out, we could farm this ground.
Right,
But they didn't. You know, they left one or two stand here and there, but this is still a wildlife plot of woods.
And
And we're talking about saplings and greenbriers, 7 to 8 foot tall.
Just to where the deer wants to run,
Yeah.
though. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Let me
so
get
we
someplace
would've-
safe
We
and lay
definitely
down.
would have never found it.
never found it.
And if we'd have put a dog in there on it, it probably would have pushed it maybe to the neighbors. You know,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have caught up to it.
Because
I hear you.
there's video footage, like when we first located this deer, the deer was still alive, which was awesome to see with this drone. Like he literally hovered over this buck, thermal imagery, but then turned that off and lit him with a spotlight.
Yeah.
And it was like daylight, man. Like,
So
you,
you
And a
guys-
super high definition camera
Yeah.
that we were able to see the wound in the side. of the
like you
deer.
could see the deer
You
bleed.
could see the deer bleeding.
Yeah.
Just
So you knew where the shot was. You got the exact placement of that, which helps you make an educated
Yeah.
decision on what you needed to do. Because, just let me recap for those that haven't seen the video or heard the full story. You're cutting up your deer. You get this call from your drone operator. He says he's available to
Yep.
go. You guys get out there that night. You do locate the deer, but he's not dead yet.
Correct.
And so at that point, you have to make the decision like, all right, we got to back out.
So
Basically-
Xander was our drone operator.
Yeah.
And he's the owner of Elite. He told me, he's like, that, there he is. He said, but he's still alive. Like
Mhm.
if we go in there right now, like you're not getting a follow up shot. You're not like he's gonna book.
He's going to run.
Because the deer would literally get up in the video and he would walk 20 yards and bed back down.
Mm-hmm.
He would get up because you could just tell he was uncomfortable. He'd get
Right.
up, which now my heart, because I love deer. Like I love deer hunting.
Yeah, we do more for conservation
Yeah.
than anybody
So-
as
so
outdoorsmen.
When you're
hate to
physically
see that.
seeing this,
Yep.
now it's like, like now I feel horrible.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm in the dip. He's like, listen, this deer's going to need overnight. He said, there's no doubt about
Yeah,
it.
Xander was helpful too,
100%.
100%, because this is what he does.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
he maps. He does mapping and stuff
Yeah.
with his drone, but come deer season, he closes everything down to located deer.
And does 4 or 5 of these day and night.
He's 4 or 5 of these a night the whole way through deer season. He's looking at it and he's saying, "Hey, this deer will be dead by morning."
Yeah, you're getting a little bit of
know.
tribal knowledge, resident expert
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
thing. And,
And
sometimes
he
you take that counsel.
He was helpful that way, and I think. We're all assuring Jason, hey, that deer's going to die, and then he helped assure him that.
That's what a
know,
good
it's
hunting
not
buddy does. That's why we need friends.
Yeah, it's not just your buddies telling you it's
Yeah.
going to die. This deer's going to die. Like
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of them that are going to die, but we watched it. I don't know times. When you're doing something like that, time becomes irrelevant. Kind of
Right, right.
At one point, he said, "Hey, we found it. I'm marking it, but I have to pull my drone off of it because deer's still alive. We can't harass it."
You're not allowed to spotlight no.
He said, "I can't spot."
Hey,
He
exactly.
said, "I
Now
have to
that makes
pull."
sense.
He said, "We've done what we need to do with it, but as responsible,
We've gained
drone
intel
operator
and we're going to
everything."
pull off.
He said, "I'm marking it, but I have to pull my drone out of there. I can't. We
Sit
can't.
there and keep
He
watching.
said, "We can't sit here and watch that deer die. Like I have to pull off of it.
Right on.
That's part of what we have to do."
So at that point, I thought, okay, now all that I have to go on is I kind of know where the deer's at.
Mm-hmm. I got a location.
We're going to come back in the morning and hopefully find it.
Yep.
So before he left, he was like, hey, if you want, tomorrow morning, I'll meet you back out here. I'll bring my side-by-side
Mm-hmm.
and we'll relocate the deer and I'll drive you in and recover it. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's
like,
the best thing.
let's
Why
do
not?
that. Yeah. So it cost me a little extra. I think the recovery total, I had like $450 in it,
Okay.
which isn't horrible, I don't think.
No, I wouldn't say. I mean, from my perspective, just
Yeah.
being a third party, person in
He
the
was
whole
great
story.
because he even brought the side by side along
Yep.
the next day because we would
It's
have
full
got it.
service.
We would have got it, but we'd have worked
Oh,
to
yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he come back that morning. He come back. He
Well,
located it with the big drone.
Back up a little bit. That adds to our quandary at this point. So we gained the extra night.
Yeah, but you have to get out of
to
there.
add to add to this. So this farm's an hour,
Yes.
a solid hour from where we're staying.
Oh, really?
So now,
We have an hour back to the Airbnb.
so we got an hour back. Now we're in the middle of the night. It's late, it's
Two,
1, 2 in the morning. 2 in the morning. But now for the thermal imaging to work on his drone, because that's how he's going to have to load.
You got to get him early in the morning.
We got to get there before the sun comes up. So now, as we're cruising back, none of us packed anything. We have hunting camp as
It
hunting
looked
camp.
like a tornado.
It looked like a tornado.
That's the way hunting camp looks.
It was
Until
still
the day
hunting
you-
camp. It
Yeah.
was still a functional hunting camp because in our mind, we were going to go find Jason's deer. We were going to come back, sleep in, and be out by 11 the next morning. Now, we need to leave by 4:30, 5 o'clock. We need to be out. So the scramble drill starts when we get back to camp.
Yeah, we get back to camp at like 2 or 2:30, and now everybody's packing their stuff.
Yeah, you're doing what you can to prep because
Yeah,
you're not going to want to
Because
do
we
it
need
first
to be
thing in
on
the
the road
morning.
by 4:30, 5 o'clock.
It's going to be a
in the
long
morning
drive home.
to get back.
7
to meet-
hours.
Yep.
To get back just to meet the drone guy in time for his thermals
That's really interesting. Yeah.
to be able to locate it.
So I think we slept 3 hours, maybe.
2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, that night, which I don't.
Wasn't a
even
great
know.
sleep
No,
for you.
it was not. It was horrible sleep.
I slept well.
Yeah. Well, you had yours in the cooler,
I was
right?
in the cooler on the back of the truck.
Yeah.
I was sleeping well.
But I felt bad because now, like, everybody's now losing sleep over this deer. Like, they're, having to bust.
It's part of the hunting experience. though.
Get everything packed up and get ready to leave the next day. And, now all this in your head, you're like, okay, have we seen him? What if he's not there?
Yep.
Tomorrow.
You start playing the what if game in your mind.
What if we can't find him? So like I'm trying to go to sleep and I'm like trying to turn my brain off, and it was a rough night.
Can't do it.
Yeah, it was a very rough night.
All right. So you get packed up.
Yep.
You get up the next morning. You're on a little bit of sleep, a little bit of coffee. I'm sure in the
Oh, yeah,
morning.
Yeah.
You drive back out to the farm,
So now we drive another hour back
and
to the farm.
and he brought out a different drone.
Nope, same.
Well, he had 2 drones.
He has
with
2
him.
drones.
Just 2 drones.
Right.
this time.
So I remember seeing like it was almost like all right, I'm going to get out the
Smaller.
different one.
So
Yeah.
he puts his big drone in the air first.
Right.
Going to the same place we were parked. He has a side by side. And
Puts his launch pad out.
yeah, he's got a launch pad for this thing to land on and everything.
Yep.
So he gets anybody's seen the video. It's a first class.
He's got a good setup.
It's a first class setup. He puts this drone back in the air, goes back in.
And he's got it marked on his.
He had it marked. With
So the drone knew the mark, so he didn't have to do anything.
So it
He just threw it in
autopilot
the air,
straight to where
autopilot
the
straight to it.
coordinates are.
Yeah, which
so it
was
gets to where the
Very
deer
cool.
was, but the deer wasn't there. So it had moved. So he starts doing a thermal scan
Mm-hmm.
and finds the deer.
40 yards.
40 yards or
From where we
so.
had
So it
found
didn't
the
move
night
far.
before.
It didn't move far, 40 yards from.
Enough to get your heart to drop a little bit.
Yeah, because when he went to that X on the map and he wasn't there, I was like, oh no.
Yeah,
Now
my worst fears come upon me.
Here it is, man. This is horrible.
And
Like,
he located it pretty quick. And
Yeah.
for anybody that watched the video, or if you get a chance to watch the video, I think it's on there. You hear everyone when he turns that high def camera on. Hey, that's a dead deer.
Yep.
Man. That's a
Yep.
dead deer, buddy. That's everyone, and you hear Xander even saying, "Yeah, that's 100% a dead deer lying there." So we know at that point that it's dead.
Right on.
so now we're back up again.
It's the roller
The roller
coaster.
coaster has been horrible.
The roller coaster's been horrible,
Yeah.
but
So he unloads side by side. We located.
he marked his GPS again and writes them down this time.
Okay.
Because this is the other drone that you were talking about. He gets this little drone out that
Which
as he
does not have
puts
thermal.
it does not have a thermal, but has a high def camera on it. And he put it as this is the type of drone that a normal person might own
Yeah.
for pleasure.
Like you or I would have. Yeah.
Like you or I would have. He's like it's not
$1,500
They can find it.
$1,500 drone, but it had a $1,500 camera on it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll find a coordinate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he put that in the side by side. We get in the side by side. He's got it in a box.
Yep.
And we all pal on this side by side.
How many of us are
Oh, it's
on this poor little
me,
razor?
you, and Clint, boy.
Yeah, I think there's 5 or
Yeah.
6 of us on this
Yeah.
side by side.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
So we cruise in on this, and he gets in there close, and he's watching his. I was up front with him, and he's watching some GPSing stuff he has in there with him, and he's like, well, and he's like, we need to get up there far, and there's a tree down. So he's like, well, this is the end of the road, guys. Like, this is as far as the side by side's going.
We're walking.
So he puts this drone in the air, and he's flying around, and he's doing his thing. We at this point everything's on his controller. We don't have we had a screen with the large one. We were
Okay, so you don't have visual.
We can't see anything at this point. He's doing whatever. The only thing that can be seen is
And if you watch the video, his words were, "We're going to try this."
Yeah, we're gonna try this.
He
Yeah.
said, "I can't guarantee I'm going to be able to find this deer in here with this
Yeah.
little drone."
He said we're gonna try this, and and his controller is what I would compare it to like an iPad or something. Even
Yeah.
not an iPad. But
So what did he do? He took the small one. He got it like on top of where the deer's
So he
location was,
brought
so
it
you
in.
knew where to go.
He brought it in, turned his camera
Parked it.
on, and found it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like,
And
hit a part,
hit
that drone
hit a
just
button,
sat there.
and it just went to hover. And he said,
There's your deer, go get
is directly underneath that.
I was
Close
like,
as I can get for you.
Yeah, he's like, it's directly underneath that drone. Yeah, I gotta get to that drone, and then it was 70 yards off the
Yeah.
road.
through the thickest, gnarliest stuff in Ohio, man.
That's
I mean-
nice though, because I mean, you get in that thick stuff, you get turned
Yeah.
around and off course or whatever. But you had that
Yeah,
The
ex-
marker.
that
Jason
excellent
and Clint went
spot.
charging in, and I cautiously came in a little bit slower, checking things out.
Which Clint's a bulldog.
Yeah, Clint's a bulldog. I mean, he is just a madman through the woods.
Right, right, yeah.
They go charging in there, and they're hooping and hollering, and I'm working my way in and looking at like, how are we getting this deer out of here? Because they cut the diversions in there.
Yep.
They run a big chisel plow through there to
Yep.
plow everything up. So there's big diversions you got to cross, and
Well, I think there were skidder tracks in
there
there.
was
too.
there were skidder ruts in there, and so we get in there, and they're already finding the deer. They're rolling around. And I finally roll in there. I'm like, "Hey, nice buck!" And he's like, "Oh, you made it." Anybody watching? If you
Yeah.
get the chance to watch the video,
it was a good video.
It's funny. It's a good video, but
Yeah, we saw Jason's taking selfies,
Jason,
rolling around
yeah,
on the
rolling around
ground
around.
with.
yeah, Jason had to do a
But
selfie.
after all that, I mean, I'd be down there with you.
I wanted to hug the deer. I mean, me and this deer
So
had just
thankful.
went through a personal
Yeah.
experience together.
Yeah.
And,
So tell me about the deer. Describe like the size,
Sure.
the deer itself.
So-
If you got a picture, send it to me. We'll
Yep.
throw it up on the and your setup. You were shooting a crossbow. Kind of broadheads do you use? Like how'd this happen?
just to touch on the deer a little bit, the deer, I never had the deer scored or anything. I probably wouldn't gross a large number.
Mhm.
But at one point, he was a respective 12 point.
Yeah.
He had two crab claws at the end of his beams, which I just thought were amazing.
Cool.
This one had broke off.
Mm-hmm.
So he's an 11 point now.
Scrapping with somebody.
Yeah, he was definitely a fighter, and he was an older deer because that's how I picked him out to
He
shoot
was
that
probably
deer.
at 130 to 140
Somewhere
in
in there.
there. I mean,
Be happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
he had a lot. He had a lot of junk on
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
he was, it was hard. It'd be hard to put a real score to it without actually putting the tape on it.
120s, 140s, somewhere in that
Yeah.
general area. Which to me,
Right
I mean,
on.
that's a trophy. He's already getting
Put-
mounted.
put
Like
him on
he's
the
at
wall.
the taxidermist, absolutely 100%. Because, like I said, me and this deer went through an experience together. So we're
Yeah.
now married.
You're here telling the story. Like you'll never lose this.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And it was nice, to enjoy it with all these guys, and my son was there. So it was definitely worth it. Set up, cheap crossbow. I've had that crossbow for probably 5 years. I killed a lot of deer with it.
Mm-hmm.
It was I just upgraded my crossbow actually. Because the thing was, when we were looking for this deer, I told these guys, if I don't find this buck,
Going back to my old one.
no, this is my old one.
Okay.
I was like, before we leave Ohio, I'm gonna burn it. Like, and I told him, I'm like, I'm not kidding. Like, if I lose this buck, like I owe it to that deer. This crossbow is done.
Wow.
I am burning it. It's getting lit on fire. I'll go buy gas. Like whatever we got to do. It's gonna melt into a pile of plastic.
That's like the emotions that we go through
Yeah.
as hunters.
Yeah. So
So there was a small portion of us just, not, hoping.
Just wondering,
yeah, these guys were all salivating. They wanted to see this crossbow.
I mean,
get
we just
burned.
wanted to see
it's
it
a win-win either
Yeah.
way for
We
the
we didn't
spectators.
want the deer to suffer, but we wanted to see Jason burn his crossbow kind of.
So it was a Killer Instinct Bone Collector Edition.
Mhm.
It served me well.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've killed several deer with this thing. I had no thoughts in my head that it wouldn't do the job,
Right.
which in reality it did, thanks to rage. I'm a rage guy.
Right.
Made that switch here about 3 or 4 years ago.
They get the job done.
Yeah. So
And they make up for, if you don't get the perfect
Yes.
shot,
So
it can be the
found
difference maker.
hypodermics. The rage hypodermics are the ones that I shoot, and the wound channel is unbelievable.
Uh-huh.
When you see what that 2-inch or 1.5-inch cut does on impact,
Yeah.
compared to other stuff that I've used in the past. I'm 48 years old. I've hunted since I was 12, killed a lot of deer, and it seemed like those rages just got it done.
It's like we were talking about before we started recording, or maybe it was at the beginning of the episode where we were talking about trial and error,
Yeah.
Different hunting tactics and
Yep.
strategies and stuff. You find what works,
Yep.
and once it works for you,
You
then
stick with it.
you go back to it,
Yeah.
until that bag in the
Which
bag of
normally
tricks.
Pennsylvania is the old 30-06. That's the old tried and true.
Yep, I still hunt with an odd 6. Been
Yeah.
hunting with an odd 6 since I was 12 years old, and I
Yeah.
probably will hunt with an odd
Still got
6
it. Yeah.
the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it.
Yep.
So awesome story.
Yeah.
We'll get the picture of the buck
Yep.
up on the on the video feed for anybody to check out. You just got back from a return trip, so
Yes.
you went back out.
Different location in Ohio now.
Cool.
We tried something a little closer where the previous story had happened. We were 7 hours.
We were 7 hours. We were just on the east side of Cincinnati.
Yeah. 20 miles out of Kentucky, actually.
Yeah, we were just outside of Kentucky and close to Cincinnati.
Yep.
We were out there. 7.5 hour ride.
So I get with all these guys and we're like, hey, a lot of us still have tags. Like some of us have doe tags. Some of us
Try to use
buck
them up.
tags. Let's go to Ohio, man. So Ohio does a rifle season.
Mhm.
Out there, it's all straight wall cartridge or muzzleloader.
Yep.
So we get with Matt. I'm like, hey, what do you think? You want to go out here and try this? They're like, yeah, let's do it. So,
You don't have to threaten me with a good time.
yeah, so I called Clint. Clint's in, Dewey had killed his buck. He said he was kind of done with Ohio for the year.
Sure.
So me and my son and Matt and Clint decided, hey, let's try it again because we had 2 buck tags, 2 doe tags. So we drove out.
We were actually, the original plan was we were going to go out and hunt some public land.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And talking with
Other people.
one of my business partners that
Yeah.
goes to Ohio and hunts,
We found a location
we found a location that is private land.
Mm-hmm.
that you can hunt.
Yes, as long as you stay in their accommodations,
Okay.
you can hunt their private land.
Yeah.
It's like 700 acres. So this is where I'll have to let Jason tell you how it went, because on Friday we got a call at work, an emergency call, and I got stuck out working on the street until 8:30 that night. So I didn't make the trip.
So
I
you
didn't make the trip.
work calls and
Yeah. So I didn't make the trip, which my buck tag was already filled.
So the downer to the story was that in the meantime, Matt's son decides, hey, I want to go to Ohio
Yeah.
too. So he buys his Ohio
He
license.
buys his Ohio license to
Luckily,
go.
his youth.
did he get he
No,
didn't make
no.
the trip.
No,
So
we
very
didn't- He was
disappointed.
with me.
All right.
He's
So
with me at work. We're ready to leave. And-
Mason, if you're listening to this, that's horse crap.
So he's with me at work. We're getting ready to leave, and we got a call from one of our very, very good municipal customers.
Yeah.
Hey, another contractor just hit one of our force mains.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do with
And
business. Yeah.
we had already sent some of our guys home. I had, we start calling guys, and I'm like, I can't send my guys out here on Friday night to work on the street without being here with them.
Yep.
So
That's good leadership.
Long story short of that is, it's 8:30 when we get off the street, and I call Jason. I'm like, hey, we're not making the trip. And
So it was a funny phone conversation because they're sitting in the truck.
Yeah.
You got dad and son here sitting together. And I'm like, so Matt, what are you doing? Are you going to come? And he's like, man, I don't know. And I can hear Mason sitting there. He's like, Dad, let's go. Let's go. You can sleep. I'll drive.
You got twice the energy when
Yeah.
you're a
He's like, I'll drive.
teenager
Man.
than
You
you.
can sleep the whole way there. I'll just drive.
I'll make it happen,
Yeah.
Dad.
So at this point, I'm thinking he's going to talk him into this. Like he's still coming. So Matt's like, well, let us talk here for a couple minutes. He said, I'll call you right back.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. So phone rings. He's like, we're not coming. So I was like, well, okay. He either tied Mason up somewhere.
It's a tough one. I mean,
Well-
I get it, but you had your you had your meat in the freezer already.
Yeah, and I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I mean, we'll let Jason tell you about Ohio, but that weekend turned out really good for Mason and I anyway.
Yeah.
So we had a whole nother experience that weekend.
Nice.
Something he'll probably never be able to accomplish again. But
So new to this ground, we get there Friday evening.
Mm-hmm.
No scouting, nothing going off.
It's going
maps.
cold turkey.
It's like we don't even know where we're at, you know. And at first you're like, "Oh, Ohio, flat ground." Well, no, we are in the hilly parts of Ohio now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go from elevation change up, down. They're just hollows. It kind of reminds you of PA, just the mountains ain't as high,
Right.
but steep. They're still steep. So luckily, Clint came along. He brought a side by side, which you were allowed to use side by sides here. So we jumped on a side by side. We're literally blasting this property at 4:00 in the afternoon, in the evening, trying to find out where we're hunting at. You know, like so that we kind of found spots. Next morning, we'll all go in. Me and Clint had set up roughly 100 yards apart in this hollow, which is really thicket. I don't know why I'm drawing the thickets.
That's where the deer go.
Yeah, right.
That's where the deer go.
So I'm hunting with a muzzle loader.
Right.
Clint and my son are both hunting with 4570s. So, you know, I got the old inline.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm the one shot guy
You're
now
one-
again.
That's the same as a crossbow.
Yeah, right. Pretty close.
It's a single shot.
So, you know, we all had opportunities to kill deer on that trip.
Yeah.
That morning, I had 3 doe come out 80 yards. Could have shot through the thicket and probably hit one, but I was like, you know, Ohio's already took enough of my life this year.
I was gonna say.
We're just not going to take any risk. I mean, I was that guy.
I can dig it. Yeah.
50 yards. You know, I needed a nice clean shot. No questions asked. Dead deer.
Mm-hmm.
If I was shooting anything, Clint shot at a doe. He missed her. The deer are weirder in Ohio than what they are here in PA. If anybody hasn't hunted Ohio, Pennsylvania, it seems like as soon as your foot hits the leaves, if there's a deer within a mile, they know you're there.
They're on alert. Yeah, they know what time it is.
Our deer are always just like, even if they're bedded, they're always like just looking and sniffing and like they're just 100% on alert. Deer in Ohio are kind of different. Like you would think for being Ohio, they would have more pressure. And I think you can attest to this too. Like even our trip in September, the public land for the first day of archery, there was no cars.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody hunting.
yeah, there's very little pressure. Is what people in Ohio call hunting pressure. We call no pressure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're saying this is a high pressure area, and to us,
They got
it's
like 3 hunters, maybe.
That's no pressure where
Yeah.
we're from. You
Mhm.
know.
Now, Pennsylvania's, traditionally a different state when it comes to hunting numbers and that sort of thing too. So we're just adept to a different saturation point.
Yeah. So
real.
this trip was good. Like I said, Clint had jumped some doe, got a shot at one. Unfortunately, missed it. He actually walked up on them deer, and it was so funny. We were texting back and forth, and he was doing a video. He had his phone holding up, and he's like doing this panorama of this hollow he's in. He's like, "Oh, I think I found the honey spot." I heard him talking. All of a sudden, he watched his phone drop. And I'm like, dropped his phone. So he calls me. He was like, I heard because I wasn't far away. I heard boom. I'm like, well, that sounded like
He found the honey spot.
Yeah. So he calls me. He was like, those deer. He said I had 3 doe. They were bedded 20 yards away from me when I was doing that video.
Unreal.
Walked right up on them, and I mean it's crunchy. It's 18 degrees out there, kind of cold like this morning. So you weren't sneaking.
Right. Yeah.
You know, these deer just hunkered down, and they didn't move until he almost stepped on them. So it was kind of crazy.
So what would your, in rap and everything, what would your advice be to somebody that's listening that says, hey, I want to give Ohio a try?
Ohio has thousands and thousands of acres of public property that you can literally spend $300 and probably hunt until you can't hunt anymore.
Mm-hmm.
From everybody that I've talked to in Ohio, they say November, first week or two in November is the worst weeks to hunt there.
Really?
Because that seems like that's
So
when
that's
all
when the
the
most pressure is.
out-of-staters, PA guys, Maryland,
New York.
Virginia, New
Gotcha.
York, everybody's flooding Ohio
Everybody goes
now
to
for the rut.
Ohio for the rut.
Yes. So I think from my experience, at least this year, I'm digging opening week, man. Zero pressure. The deer were not on alert at all. I would love to try public ground now that we kind of have an idea. Wayne's National Forest is 244,000 acres, I think, which is insane.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to stay a little closer to PA next time because we were deep.
Yeah.
We were deep in Ohio. But we'll see.
And it was definitely different hunting when we all went in the early season. I mean,
It was hot.
It was hot. We're hunting flat ground out there at that point.
I mean, your mentality's even different in early season. I mean, I know we get excited about archery or whatever, but you feel like I got all season.
Yeah.
Right.
And even like from the beginning of the week to that last day when you guys had all your action, you're like, all right, we're here all week. I've got 4 days or whatever it might be.
Yep.
Last day, the mentality shifts a little bit. So like that late season hunting, like even for myself right now, like I've got my freezer's full. I don't need any more deer meat, but I still have a buck tag.
Yep.
So like I'm wrestling myself internally. Like, do I continue to go out? It's a lot colder now than what it was in October, when I shot my first doe. Do I need that or don't I need that? Those are the things. So perspective changes depending on what time of the year it is that you choose to take that hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
So I actually got me and my boy both between the two of us. We have 4 doe tags left, and I don't believe we're going to film them either this year. I think we're just
happens though.
Yeah, we're just going to let it be.
You got one heck of a story.
Yeah.
And the mount, you're gonna have the mount to go along with it here.
So to back it up, best year deer hunting of my life. Like I said, I'm 48. I've hunted since I was 12. Killed a buck in Ohio this year. Killed a buck in Pennsylvania.
Awesome.
Which actually very large 6-point.
Yeah.
Right, biggest 6-point that I've seen on hoof.
Yeah,
Got him first day of rifle season. Just a little backstory on that too. My PA buck, 10:30 in the morning. Seen 5 deer that morning. We have private property that we hunt in Amberson, Pennsylvania, which we have some good deer, but there's not a lot of pressure. There's 270 acres roughly, and there's about 3 of us that hunt it. So the deer,
that's nice.
Yeah, the deer don't get pushed hard. So we hunted that morning, 10:30. It was cold. First day of rifle season this year.
It was really
the coldest I can remember
a long time
since I was a kid.
We had snow where I was at. I don't know if you guys had snow on the ground where you guys were hunting.
Didn't have snow. It was just bitter cold.
Wind gusts. I mean, the wind was blowing.
Yeah.
The snow was on the ground. It snowed all day on Friday. Like not heavy
pictures and videos you were sharing.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's go out there.
Yeah.
So I was kind of done for the day. Like I'm turned around. I got my gun ready to lower down out of my tree stand. I'm packing my bag, and all of a sudden, I'm standing there, and this deer comes running up out of the hollow behind me. We heard my son had walked down onto the log road and started busting deer out of this thicket.
Sometimes that's the best time of day, especially on rifle season.
Try to stay in there till lunchtime.
Yeah,
that's all you got to do is beat the other guys.
That's right.
Everybody else.
They'll start pushing deer to
you. Can hold tight, man. They'll push them, and that's what happened with this buck. He just bumped them right over to me. 40-yard shot, the old 25-06, and that was the end of the story. Buck tag filled in PA, and
you had a good season.
Yeah, very good season. So, very expensive season.
Yeah. Well, when you pay for the extras.
Crossbow. Now we have a Ohio deer taxidermist and a PA deer. So I figured this is my year. I'm getting them both mounted, and
look at that.
Yeah.
So it's the year.
Yep.
That's the year.
Capitalize, and it's only up from here, right, man?
For me, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even see an antler to shoot at in Pennsylvania this year, so.
Well, we're not done yet, so let's strategize here. We got a little bit of time.
My hunting is probably done for this
It's
year.
cold,
My
man.
kids have scheduled right now.
Like I said, I too don't.
Probably not much hunting happening.
Yeah, I don't really foresee going back out either. So
I'm usually done right after, whatever rifle season brings.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
Because I feel the deer at this point are so pressured. I mean, they're literally moving at night.
That's the way it's been all year for
Yep.
me, though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just I haven't seen it. It hasn't been my year this year, but you know, they come and they go.
Yep. Yeah.
So we're happy to. That's why we bring on guys like you to come on the show. The stories that
Yep.
go with the hunts.
Yep.
You know, those are the memories we carry with
Okay.
us. And you know, like we were talking earlier, it's like the smile on the kid's face
Yep.
whenever he gets his first deer and stuff. Like that's the trophy to me.
Yep.
Means more to me to see people smiling,
We're all dads.
enjoying.
You know.
Yeah, you want to enjoy it,
Yep.
and you want to see the people
Especially
around you
with
be
your
successful
kids.
too.
I mean, that's the greatest thing. Me and my son, he started hunting when he was 8. I think he killed his first buck when he was 9.
Right.
So he's kind of been spoiled. I didn't kill my first deer till I was like 20 something.
Yeah.
You know, it was pretty hard hunting when we were younger. I think we had more deer, just not quality deer.
Man, I remember, you know, getting started and the deer, like the doe would pile up when it get cold like this, and there
see
would
30
be
of 'em.
herds.
Yep.
And
And you try to tell that to a younger guy now, and they're like, "Shut up, no way."
yeah, I
I'm
know.
like, "No, seriously." Like it stretched from one side of the field to the other, like it was a train of does.
Oh, that's still happening.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like I don't see it in my
I
area.
think it's picking up. But it's dipped a little bit. But I don't have any scientific
Yeah.
data to
There are
support that.
pockets. The biggest thing I see in our small corner of Pennsylvania is there's so much private land that is either not hunted or, you know, is hunted by one guy.
They got safe
They got
areas.
safe areas, you know, and there's so many, you know, different farms that used to be 200-acre farms or 100-acre farms have been divided up into 10 lots,
Yep. For housing.
you know, for
Sure.
housing. So you can't even hunt there because of safety zones, and you know the people that bought them houses or built them houses don't want you hunting, or the guy that lives in that house hunts that
Yeah.
10-acre lot.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot more safe haven for deer than there used to be.
Well, long story.
That's a whole other rabbit hole.
I was going to say. I mean, we're going
We
down a
could-
different
we could
trail on
spend a
that.
day- We could
Yeah.
spend a lot of time in that rabbit hole there, but
At the end of the day, Jason, you've had a heck of a season,
Very good year. Very
and
good year.
you know,
Which Matt also.
yeah. Oh, that was a great time out there. I mean,
That buck was your first archery
that was my
buck, right?
first archery
Yeah.
buck. I mean, there's been a lot of doe going through
Yeah.
the killing out of the bow, but not a buck.
there's something to be said about that. You know,
Yeah.
whenever you take a buck with what the stick and strings, like
Yeah.
I like to say,
Yeah,
it's a different type of hunters that are out there too. You know, whenever I was younger, I just wanted to kill deer.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I wanted to go out. I had limited time. You know, whether it was school, whether it was sports, whether it was work as I got a little bit older. Now I've got a little bit more time to hunt. And so I
A little more
want,
picky.
I wouldn't even say that. Like if you knew the guys, like if you get to know me, I'll kill a small deer. I'm not
Yeah.
worried
we
about,
talked about this before. An instinct.
you know, they're,
Instinct kicked in.
that's,
You
yeah.
know, you got a target buck.
Yeah.
Ron and I had this discussion. Yeah, I got a target buck this year. Yeah, that's great. Right up until you're in the stand, and
That's
that 5 point.
Should I let him
and
walk?
instinct kicks in.
yeah.
Yeah, but the point that I'm getting at, because that's true to an extent. Point I'm getting at is I do like the challenge,
Mm-hmm.
so I want to hunt with the bow more than the gun. I do want to, you know, go deeper into the woods than, you know, like we got deer that'll run right behind our cabin, and I could go. We got to stand, you know, 15, 20 yards behind the outhouse. And you can sit there and kill deer.
Yep.
But I don't want to do that. You know, I want to push myself a
Yep.
little bit
See what's out there.
and take the harder path. You know, hunting archery is not the same as hunting with the muzzleloader, even like in late season. So that's where I am. You know, but it's like we said. You know, your buddy that kills all those big deer. You know, you've been there, you've done that, you've done it a time or two. You want to challenge yourself a little bit, and that's part of this sport. I think is it's you against yourself.
Yep.
Like, how do I better myself?
Yeah.
And, you know, so hunt your hunt the way that you want to hunt it, you know, and, you know, when we got junior hunters or younger guys and they just want to take the gun out and
Get it
put
done.
something down and get it done. Like, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause you're at a different spot in your life, but, This has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah,
I really
appreciate
appreciate you coming out and hanging with us for a little bit. Like I said before, you're always invited back. You know, once you're on the show, you become
Well,
part
telling
of the
the story,
family.
man. It was great time. Great times.
Well, I'm sure you got more stories than just
Oh,
that
yeah.
one.
Yeah, we could get into it. Trust me, I got 30 some years on under my belt. So yeah.
Come on. Do you are you on social media? Do you got
Just
people to
I'm
follow
on
you?
Facebook. I don't do any following or anything like that. so-
Jason Johnson.
Yeah, yeah.
If you want a story, you can reach out to him
Yeah.
there. Guys, appreciate everybody that's tuning in to hear this story. You want to hear more from Tracks and Tackle? You can always find us different places online. We're just about anywhere that you look online. You can find us. If you want to see Jason's story, go to the YouTube channel and look for the Ohio drone recovery video that we have uploaded there. We'll put the links in the description. And anything lasting message from you, Buck?
Well, just get out and hunt your hunt, man.
All right, man. Get out there, hunt your hunt.
Ohio coming next year.
We're gonna do it again. So much fun. We'll go out and do it again.
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully we'll have more stories. And like I said, welcome you in. Come back anytime, man. Appreciate you giving us a little bit of time this morning, and get this thing edited and put up here hopefully in a week or so.
Sweet.
All right, hunting family. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to be safe, get outdoors. Nature's our playground, and always stay well.